Hello and welcome to Taboretum channel. Today we have a rodent episode. We'll be talking how to fix a mouse battery cover. Stay tuned. So here we have our problem. There is a cover of the battery compartment that, as you can see, is broken, falling out, battery is falling out. And obviously no one is selling the spare part, and we're not gonna buy a new mouse because of that. So we put the mouse away, well, maybe for a second, and here is the element we would like to print. And before we measure it, the usual way I do that is I think what are the features of this model, and for example what are the symmetries. So things you can easily see that it is symmetric versus this axis, because these two dongles are symmetric and the whole thing is, this upper part is the mirror of the bottom part, plus some elements like these two grooves that are actually grooves of the battery radius are also symmetric, seems to be symmetric versus the center of this element. So let's get to measuring, and the missing part is the tab that should be out here, that actually goes, if we look here, goes into this. Let me get rid of the batteries. Obviously they fall off and we don't need them to fall off. You can see there is a gap, and there should be a tab getting in, as these two other tabs that go here. Right, so these tabs go here, and the missing tab should lock here. And you can see that the thing broke also here, right? Okay, so let's get to the measuring. You need a caliper to do that. Whoops. You need a caliper to do that. We also would need to know that the diameter of the AAA battery is around 10 mils. And now we need to know that the height of this element is roughly 1.9-ish. That the whole thing here is 23-ish, and we want to be a bit below what we measure, because we want the thing to fit in, right? Here we have 46.7 something, right? This gap here is 2 mils, and this element here is also 2 mils. It seems it is not the same, because one is the hole and the other is the element, but they are roughly 2 mils each. The width of this whole gap is 34.75, and this one 24.80, and this one actually is not that critical, 34-ish, 34.2. What else we need to measure? These tabs here. So this tab is 4 by 1, and this dimension here is by 2, roughly. So we can assume the missing one was pretty similar. And now we would also like to know how far from the edge is this tab, which is not that precise, but it's around 4 mils, which is okay-ish. The upper one is for sure in the middle. And now the last missing part is how far the middle of this groove is from the center, from the edge, which is, well, it will be a bit of a guessing game. Maybe let's measure it here. Yeah, probably 6 or 6.5. It's not that easy to measure that. 6.3, yeah, 6.2, something along those lines, 6.2 I think. So we've measured the thing, and the other elements will be probably visual inspection when designing. So let's get to the FreeCAD and let's start getting it done. Okay, so we have a fresh FreeCAD document. We create a body, and we'll start with the sketch. Let me close the door. Yeah. We'll put the sketch at the XY plane. Let me XY, yeah. And as agreed, we decide this will be a symmetric, so we can start with the rectangle, and we can do GR to do rectangle, and we just make a rectangle. Now what we can do, we set about symmetry, so escape, select these 2 points and an axis, and press S for symmetry. And we do the same with, for example, these 2 axes, and S for symmetry. Now if we move it around, it will keep the symmetry. Now some dimensions, I'll press D for dimension, and here we said this is going to be 4675, 4675. Yeah, and this one, I still have the dimension set, gonna be 23. One more thing, we need rounded corners. So there is a magic button here, create fillet, and if we select the 2 connected edges, it will create a fillet and keep the constraints of the size, which is a new feature of the more recent FreeCAD version, the 1.0. And now what we want to do, press escape. We want to select all these round arcs, rounding arcs, and press E for equal. And we can do D dimension, and I haven't measured that, so I guess it was about 1.5 mil. And if we are wrong on the positive side, oops, that's not an issue. If we make these 2 not enough, this radius, then the thing will not fit. So we will make it 1.5 just to be on the safe side. So now the next element, we can, it's a slot, and we have a button for a slot, and it is somewhere here. Whoops, it's too big, but doesn't matter, we will move it. And we said escape. That again, we can make it symmetric versus the y-axis here. S, and it is symmetric now. We said the slot was 34 something, but if we make a dimension for this, we need to remember that we have a millimeter here and millimeter here, so it will be actually 32, I think 0.5, 0.7, something like that. And now these 2 millimeters will be just the radius of this arc here, so we make it 2. Okay. If I press escape, now the only option is to move it, and okay, it's 2 millimeters the whole slot, not the radius, so it's 1 millimeter radius, which means 2 millimeter slot. And now we need to say that from this line to this we have just 2 millimeters, so we select both, press D, and we can put the dimension here, and it will be 2 mils. And we have our basic shape roughly, and as you can see it turned green, which means it's fully constrained, and the solver says here fully constrained. So we close, and what we do now, we pad the whole thing, and the length of this pad will be 1.9, I believe, roughly-ish, and so that's the basic shape. Right, so now what we need to do, we need to add the 2 grooves for batteries, and in the meantime, because we've been measuring offset from the edge, but then I thought that these 2 batteries are actually touching the thing, so we can measure the offset from each other. Let me show you what I mean. We want to subtract a primitive. In this case, this primitive will be a cylinder. So we press subtract, and the cylinder is not where we want it. We want it actually on this face. Actually, this one. So you can you're selecting here the pane, yeah, because it's going to be orthogonal to the one that you select. And we remember that the diameter of the battery is 10, so the radius is 5. We want to make it long enough, so let's make it 100. Well, just doesn't matter how long it's going to be, because we are now going to move it. Right, and here we have the options to move it, and it's in local coordinates, so x is not what you would expect, because if you look here as x, this is a different x than x on these local coordinate system. Right, so actually here we would like to move it 5 millimeters off, because the second battery will be also 5 millimeters off, because they are basically touching. So if you look from the top, you can see that now we are touching the axis. We need to move it also here, so it looks like a decent touch. Maybe we'll in a second we'll compare with the original thing. And in Z we move it. I'm scrolling the mouse now, as you can see. We move it there, right? And yeah, let's click OK, and let's have a glance. It looks a bit too deep versus what we've seen on the original model. So we go here, and we double click it, and the depth was this minus the plus 6. So we need to make it 6 point something, like 6.3. Let's see. Yeah, it's, well, maybe even 6.2, a bit deeper. Yeah. Okay. And we have the first groove. Now I've said that these two grooves are symmetric versus one of the basic axes. So what we select the feature, the cylinder, and we say with this button, make a mirror. And we say that we should use this plane here, and this plane is the XZ plane. So we say XZ plane, and here is the second groove, which is nice. That's what we wanted. We press OK. I'm pretty happy with the thing. Now we will add the tab here, and the tab is basically additive cube, right? Additive box. Let's add a primitive additive box, and we can stay over here. We can say that our reference, with references it's sometimes not that easy, but let's try to select this as the reference, this face, and why it is moved already? It's gonna be, no, it's not a good reference, because this face, we need an edge. Oh yeah, that's better now. You see, because if we select an edge, the thing is actually, we will be able to measure the distance, and actually we want it to be on the other side of this edge, so we press flip sides. And now I don't remember what were the measured the size of these tabs. So I will just grab the caliper and measure it again, because it's in the other part of the video. But it was 4 by 2 by 1 as far as I remember, and we will make it a bit more than 1, because I think the 1 will not be super solid. So here it was 4 mils by 1, and we will make it, well, maybe not 2, but 1.5 ish, 1.6 even, because we will be printing with 0.2 layer height, and here we had 2. Right, so that's the tab that we had. and we said we are going to move it 4 mils, and again it's the local coordinate system, so it's easier probably to check. Yeah, 4 mils, and here we move it so it pops out, and that's the tab that we wanted to have. Well, yeah, it looks a bit bulky, so probably 1.4 instead. Yeah, and okay, and we have a tab, and we make this tab. Oops, my PC is a bit slow. If you ever encounter that you cannot see, what's up here? Oh yeah, it's back. That you cannot see your object, you can press V and F, so view full, and you will get the whole thing in the center. And now this box needs to be again mirrored, but this time this is going to be the ZY axis. As you can see, it's tried to use the XY, and we need ZY. And here's the second thing, and that's it. And now we need the last tab. So again, additive box, and we'll select the edge, this one, and again we will flip the thing, and this time probably the height we said, well, the height is actually not the height because this is the other dimension, so we said 1.4 here. Here probably again 2 mils, we'll see, maybe let's make it a bit tougher, and here I don't think 6 will be too much. We can measure that, and we need to move the thing left, and you remember this edge, well, we will need to calculate where to put it so it is symmetric. Need to move it out there, and then in the Z direction we move it here, right? We make it a top, and now it looks it's okay, but it is actually not, right? Because if we keep it for a second, we come back to our sketch, and the length of these is 672 minus 3 millimeters for 2 corners, so this thing is actually 43.75. 43.75. So we come back to the box, and 43.75 equals 43.75 divided by 2. Okay, and the equals is from, so it's 21.88. I basically wanted the ending of it, because it now moved it to the whole thing, and now it's +3, so the half of the size of it, well, minus, the wrong direction, minus, yeah, and we'll get it exactly symmetric. Yeah, that's it. It could be done differently by selecting the other attachment points, but I'm lazy and I'm not super proficient with using them. So here it is. To print it, we will need this bit of support. We could potentially change it so this is not flat but angled here, and it will be easier to print, but I want it to actually hold tough enough, and actually I want this part to be actually slightly filled or chamfered, so it gets easier inside. And that's it. Let's save it. And let's export it, and let's see you in PrusaSlicer in a second. Here we are in PrusaSlicer. We need to lay this thing flat on the back, and we need some tiny supports for these tabs. Right, so we would use automatic supports, print settings, support material, generate support material, and automatic supports. Maybe these organic ones, no, it doesn't make sense. Let's see, slice. Yeah, some tiny tabs here, and that's it. And it's 17 minutes, so not that much time. Apply color change. No, I don't want to apply color change automatically. It's not a logo. Yeah, let's print it and see if it fits. If you enjoyed the content, please remember to subscribe, hit the like button, and potentially, if you want to motivate me and keep me awake, buy me a coffee. There's a link down there. Okay, the moment of truth. Here is our print. Let's get it off the print pad. Let me try to zoom in a bit. Here is the old thing. Here's the new thing. Zoom. Yeah, and let's see if I can actually get rid of the supports. Yeah, I'm looking through the camera, so that's why I'm a bit clumsy. Yeah, we removed that. Yeah, I get some cleanup. So let's get the batteries in. Here's our cover. And yeah, it's like a charm. See, it's smooth. We've made it. So as you can see, instead of buying a new mouse, we fixed the old one using 3D. Thank you very much for watching this episode and happy printing. See you soon.